Okay.
I don't know my glasses.
All right, I'm calling this meeting to order, noting public notice of this meeting was posted at the school district office and website, all school buildings, the Lodi Enterprise, the Portage Daily Register, Lodi City Hall, Lodi Town Hall, the Dane Village Hall, and Dane Township Hall, West Point Town Hall, Vienna Town Hall, Lodi Public Library, mailed to the clerks at Arlington, Decorah, and Roxbury Townships. First item is the approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
First, Beers. All in favor? Was it you or? It was you?
Both. Oh, both?
Okay, I'll give you the next one. So motion carries 5-0. Next item is public input. The purpose of the citizen input agenda item is for the public to provide comments on any agenda item or to publicly address the Board of Education on items that pertain to the school business. The amount of time allotted to each speaker will generally not exceed 5 minutes per person to allow all people who wish to speak an opportunity to be heard. However, I may modify the time limits at my discretion. If the speaker has questions for the board, they will be duly noted and responses will be provided in an appropriate manner. But the board cannot respond to individual questions or individual comments as part of the public input agenda item. As an additional reminder, the board cannot take action on any item that is brought forth during the public input session or on any item that was not posted on the meeting agenda. Citizen input is an important part of the board meeting agenda, and the board appreciates hearing from the community on issues concerning them and our school district. If there's anyone here this evening that would like to address the board, please come forward to the table here in front of the board and state your name and that's it. First of all, and second of all, welcome everybody. I guess I forgot to welcome people at the beginning of the meeting.
Hi, I'm Mark Heinbecker,
Okay.
and my question is, and I have not, I apologize for not keeping up on what's all been going on, but was there traffic impact study done on if the purchase, or if there was to be schools built out on Reynolds Road? And is there the cost effective? Is there a cost related to that, either going up to Highway J or to Highway 60?
The only thing I can tell you is that I have had conversations with local officials, both town officials and city officials. Traffic patterns on Sauk Street, especially between 7:30 and 8:30, is a concern now. Another building would definitely add to that equation. The officials have indicated they have looked at various different ways to resolve that particular issue, but it would be a combinational effort between the towns and the city in order to resolve any additional traffic that would come up Sauk Street as a result of another building.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Okay. Moving on to our agenda, discuss the budget survey and financial issues in relation to the future facility and referendum decision.
There's several different things to talk about tonight, but after the last board meeting, one of the things that came to mind from public input is that generally what you try to do is with a survey, once you've got things kind of narrowed down, you want a sense of how your community is looking at them, which means you do a community-based survey to solicit input. However, there are so many different things that are still kind of hanging out there that I brought up the suggestions and the idea and ran it by each individual board member if it might be feasible or prudent to conduct a community survey in order to answer some of the questions that we're not really sure about yet and get more public input. So as a result of that, I started and put together the survey draft that you have in front of you. I think I've sent it out 2 or 3 different times to get input and reorganize it, restructure it to make it as, I say, informative as possible and still answer or ask the questions that you would like answers to. So one of the things that I guess I would like to get accomplished tonight is this survey is ready to go. It's loaded. It's on the district website. Tomorrow morning, depending on what comes out of this meeting tonight, if you approve moving it forward, it will become active. We also have the community link, which is mailed out to every household in the entire community prior to the start of school. and there's an article on the front page of that, kind of outlining a lot of the information. And then the survey is the center portion of that community link. So every household in the district would get a copy of this and could respond either by going to the website and doing it electronically, or they could just fill out the hard copy, drop it off in our mail slot out here, or mail it back to the district. And that we would hope to get accomplished by August 15th. You could then have a special meeting after the August 15th and review the data, the information that you've collected, which might help you kind of narrow down some of your choices about what to do with option HA or HB or a gymnasium and some of the other things that are included in here. The problem in doing this kind of a survey is you have to give enough information to the people that are answering the survey questions so that they know what it is that you're even talking about. Because I think we've heard more than once is that some people aren't even aware that this whole thing has been going on, even though we've been talking about it for close to 24 months. It still hasn't kind of floated out to the entire community. So it's a little bit
Some
different.
people think the decisions have already been
Yeah,
made.
exactly, and some people think the decisions have already been made. So it has to be, I say, it's a little bit different survey than what you would normally send out to the community because they would have a better sense of what you were asking. In this case, you gotta give them information so then they can provide you with input. So if if anybody has some additional things that they want done with the survey, edits or whatever, we can get that accomplished between now and tomorrow morning before we activate this on the district website and before it starts landing in mailboxes probably on Monday or Tuesday of next week.
I assume the 2 drawings will go out with the paper copy?
We did not put drawings in there, no.
Okay. And
What
are
you
they-
can do, what we did do is make a link so that people can go into the website. They can look at all of the options.
Okay.
Every single one of the 11 that we looked at. There's the cost spreadsheet that we put in there. Any piece of information that the board has looked at or the community committee has looked at is on the district website, either under district tab, meaning the board, facility study, or you can go to the community and you can look under that and it'll do the same thing. It has all the same ones, so there's 2 different links. And everything that we have done, everything that you've reviewed, every piece of information is right there on the website so they can look at it.
Do you think everybody's got access to a computer?
Maybe not, but we also have the registration coming up, and we have computers available as part of registration, so if there's something that somebody has as far as a question or whatever, we can give them an opportunity to show them where it's at, they go in and take a look at it, and we can help them that way as well.
So I have 2 things. I was gonna bring up the trafficking, thank you, Mr. Heimbecker, because that was mentioned to me as well, as, oh man, there's gonna be so much traffic. I live just off Sauk Street, and a couple neighbors had mentioned about the traffic. So I'm glad you said that. I don't know if that's something we can put in, like, is that something we want to include in the information, or that goes out to everybody? Some of the information that you said, Chuck, about we will be working with people on it, something, I don't know. I think something has to be addressed about that, because if Mr. Heimbecker brought it up and people have talked to me about it, I think it's going to be, eventually when people realize that if we do have a new school in the same area, it can become an issue.
I'm not going to belie the fact that it's an issue, but I would take you to any community probably within 50 miles of here, and that 7:30 to 8:30 time slot on any streets that are leading to a school site or school sites that are proximity or in proximity to one another is going to be just terrible. We have the same thing right here on Clark Street and the parking lot in terms of the elementary school, and that's just one site, which causes traffic problems. It's something we would have to address. It's something we would have to look at. It has already been brought up. As I said, town and community officials, meaning the city, have already mentioned that traffic could be a problem. The solutions to it, however, are multiple, and that's not something that I or the school board is going to have a voice in. It has to really be something that the community, in this case the city, and the town works together to determine, are there going to be arterial streets coming off from there? Are there going to be other ways in terms of accessing Sauk Street other than just where we access it now? And that's something that's like a 2 or 3 year plan that has to be worked out, I think, Mark mentioned the idea of traffic patterns or traffic studies. Where is the traffic coming from? Is it primarily coming out of the subdivision? Is it coming all the way up Sauk Street? Is it coming, from arterials? And then determine what's the best way to relieve the congestion. So I don't, even though it's an issue, it's not a new issue, and it's gonna take cooperative planning on the part of the community in order to come up with a solution. And it will not solve the problem, it's just gonna give more access in and out.
My thought is maybe it should just be mentioned, it doesn't have to be a survey question, just the fact that it's on our radar, because some people might say, I can't believe they didn't say anything about the traffic that's gonna be up there, I can hear it now. So that's my only thought in this whole process, is that maybe it should be noted that we, I don't remember seeing it on the survey, but I could be
No,
wrong.
it's not, it wasn't mentioned in terms of putting it anywhere.
Maybe it could be in that front page that you, or that we as a group decide to, we understand that there could be issues with traffic, just so it's noted that we actually understand that, and that we know.
I'm looking at the section in terms of purchasing a site. There could be something there mentioned in the opening paragraph indicating that the school board realizes that
Yeah,
that traffic could be an issue, but it's being looked at and will be discussed.
yeah, I just think that people need to know that we know what we know, which is that we know it's gonna be a problem.
I'd like to make a
I think,
comment.
I don't wanna say it's gonna be a problem, I wanna say
It's just a fact. I'm not saying it's going, I'm not going to have, I don't want Chuck to say it's going to be a problem. I want, we are aware of blah, 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 just so that people know that it's being discussed, it's, obviously has to be dealt with. So I don't want it in a negative way ever. But does that make sense, Phil?
That's what it sounds like. The way you're talking sounds like it's a
Well,
negative.
he's an English person, he'll word it correctly.
Well, what I'll do is I'll put something together, obviously because it's brand new, I'll just send it out to everybody and you can take a look at it and see if the phrasing of it, because I'll put it in the morning, get it, if I get it written up tonight, I'll get it out to everybody tonight. Take a look at it individually, you send me back your comments and then I can update the survey accordingly before we make it active. Okay, but I'll put something in that section number 2 where we're talking about the site relative to traffic.
Do other members of the board feel like we need to say something about why the elementary school, it says 93 people and, everybody decided that the choices are, we're gonna sell the land, we're gonna get rid of the elementary school, but it doesn't say why. Why we can't do other things, so
good,
I'm
yeah.
just wondering, just a paragraph that it's not feasible, various studies, whatever, that we've wrestled with for at least as long as I've been on the board, and probably
You talking primary school or elementary?
the
Primary.
primary school.
Okay, you're just saying elementary,
Sorry.
so,
Sorry.
okay.
The article that's in the community link goes into a great deal of
Okay.
discussion of that,
Okay.
about the,
Perfect. If there's
all
some
the
place
time
where
and
they
effort we
can,
put into
where
it.
they see,
I don't want to pre-jump the community link, but as soon as the community link is mailed out and next Monday, we'll put that article into the information that's on the website as well. Okay? So,
because it seems like other things are gonna flow, options flow from the fact that site is not on the table now. We're gonna move on that,
That's in here.
okay. I know, but it doesn't say why.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. It says a group of 93 community people, and we all came, this is the decision that they came up with, but it's like, if you're saying, I'm reading this, but I'm going, 93 people, there's 3,000 people in the city of Lodi alone, so what was the rationale for?
Because people don't understand,
Right.
they don't have all the
Group
information,
process.
or they maybe talk without the information. I've had a lot of people say, well, I can't believe you don't just add on to this or build this here,
Yeah.
and there's so many extra factors that people don't know, so I think that's a really good idea as well.
I will, I've got the article obviously in draft format for the
It
community.
doesn't have to be in the
Check see
survey,
it.
as long as there's some place people can go
Okay.
and get the background.
So that, I'll just check to see what I have in there, because I might be able to pull out just a sentence and attach it in here, so that at least makes that statement as well.
Well, doesn't number 3 cover your concern?
I read it, and
Not quite,
I'm just saying that
more in depth.
that's a little more of the reason why this group
Just-
of community members, parents, and local officials, why this option happened. to the primary school. That's all.
That's fine.
And another sentence won't hurt anybody.
Right, and not in the survey. It seems wordy enough already, so.
Can I add a little input on the traffic thing? Caution you of overstepping your bounds, the traffic thing really, when it comes right down to it, is not our responsibility. The responsibility for that comes back to the meetings with the town and the city. And beyond that, I'm gonna ask you a question. Do you remember the arterial that goes from Highway 60 between Siemens and Mechanic Factory and comes out right directly in front of the middle school?
It's called McCullough Road. Yeah.
Yeah, but it comes out right directly in front of the middle school. Do you remember that one?
No.
That's because it's not there.
Oh.
So that was discussed, that type of thing, arterial or whatever you'd like to call it, was discussed already when we did the primary school. And the powers that be beyond the school
Middle school
district,
you're talking
or
about, primary.
middle school, the powers that be beyond the school district chose to not make it happen, so.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought it we should clarify a little bit more. That's my only purpose in that.
Fine. Even the Highway J thing has been discussed. One property we looked at in the past is owned by the golf course, and it runs more than, well, it runs approximately a half the distance between Highway J and Reynolds Road. But again, that's not our
Right.
place.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll,
You have to have a motion for the survey, or?
no, I'm looking more from the standpoint, well, at some point I do, but I need to get any edits that you want or things you wanted corrected on it so that I can get those worded in. And then if you want to move forward with this survey, then obviously the answer is, yes, I need a motion on it, okay? So that it comes from you, not from me necessarily. I just thought, after listening to some of the comments at the last board meeting, it's not normal, but it doesn't sound like a bad idea in order to help you kind of narrow down what you think the community is thinking about some of these issues. Which is why I put it together and started in this direction.
I'll make the motion that we approve this survey
Per edits,
per the edits that we've discussed already.
and I'll second.
Okay.
There's a lot of good information in here, but you really gotta work hard to read this, and so I'm simply saying, you may have to read it more than once or twice. I'm familiar with what's going on and I had to work at it.
Okay, I'm just looking at the last two questions underneath 5 about the additional gym.
Yep.
Okay, so the second one says a competition-sized gym to either one of the options. So is that saying the one that would possibly get added to the high school is not competition size?
No, it's just saying that normally if you're building an elementary school, you're gonna build a physical education gym
Okay,
that is what I would call regulation size.
okay,
Competition size would be larger with more upscale restrooms, locker rooms, et cetera, because you'd have
okay,
competitive teams in there. So it would actually take a gymnasium that you're already building and just expand it in terms of size, so there'd be some additional costs that would come with that, but not the same as adding a full-size competition gym, for example, under the high school by itself.
Is there some way to help people clarify that? Because I
I'm looking at the two things right
I
now.
read that over and over and over, and I'm kinda like, what's the distinguishing factor? Again, is there a difference between a competition gym? Somehow we need to,
I could take out competition, just say larger gym.
So is this price include additional locker rooms at the high school
Yes.
and the wrestling room thing?
It does not include the wrestling room.
Okay.
All it does is just add the gymnasium. I can show you what it looks like, because I thought maybe that question might come up, so I thought, well, where it came from, you have to be careful, because we're not. This is what we were looking at originally with option C. It's only one of the 11 options, and forget all this other stuff because it doesn't matter. What you would be looking at is this being added on to the high school, which is the gymnasium, additional locker room space. The resting room, et cetera, and the weight room would not be touched.
Okay.
Okay? If you wanted to add that, then the cost to do that goes up to $9 million, meaning that you expand this out. That's the difference between the two. The gym itself, with the locker rooms, 7.4. And Steve's here from TK First, so I verified the numbers just to make sure. There didn't seem to be an issue about people want things, but the gymnasium seemed to be the big issue. So I had Steve break out the costs, and that was where the 7.4 million came from.
Okay, so that essentially lands right smack dab in the middle of the football practice field, and was
Right.
that part of why it's so expensive?
That 7.4 million also gives you access to the land on the other side of that ravine. So it's not just the size of the gym, but it's also reclaiming land on the other side of that ravine for practice field.
Oh,
Because you're losing a practice field,
Yes.
a physical
Right.
education area. In order to recapture it, you have to go across that ravine, which is where that big wood bridge is that was put in by the Ice Age Trail. We'd have to come up with something a little bit more stable, a little bit more substantial than that in order to access it, but it would be coming out of there. They go across the ravine and there'd be a practice field created over there.
Okay, now the high cost, the 7 million part of it is coming into focus, because any square foot that I ever looked at, 7 million would build you like 2 gyms, not one.
I
But you
was
can't
surprised
take
at the
away
price,
you
yeah.
can't take away the PE space, which they use every single day during the fall and in the spring, and then turn around and say, okay, go somewhere else to do your,
Well, I understand.
so it's included in there in terms of recapturing the green space.
The only other thing, and I'm sure this, Mr. Kiefer has addressed this, is then how do you handle the, what do you call them, fire codes, so many feet from an exit? When you're putting a building right beside, and I know there's exit doors on the gym, how do you handle that?
Yeah, we can have a firewall separation, that once you exit those doors from the existing building, you start over. So you would be exiting the existing building into the new portion of it by having that firewall separation.
Appreciate it.
But the gym, I guess the question that I had hanging over from the last meeting was that if it's a competition-sized gym, it doesn't have to even be at the high school, does it?
No, that's
If
a half.
if we were gonna build in the future, build a school someplace, another building, at a later date, we could put a.
Either at a later date or when
on
you're
that-
building either HA or HB,
Right.
either one,
Right,
you could add this gym
Right.
to it.
right.
Which is that second question, is that if you didn't build it onto the high school, which is what you see here, then the other option is, as you're building your new building, is to just increase the size of that gym and make it a competition-sized gym rather than a regular PE
But,
size.
but I guess I'm back to Bill's question, is when I look at these two,
It's not distinguished.
yeah, why
Well,
don't you
like I
just say,
said, I
let's,
can take out competition.
no, let's
Okay.
leave that one, because it's not changing, the numbers are all the same, right?
Right.
It's a better deal for us to have the larger gym.
Right.
For the same price, so why even have that first question? That's all I'm asking.
It's your survey, so you create it any way you want.
I think it's probably more geared toward the high school.
Huh?
It's more geared toward the high school, being added on to
No,
the high
it
school.
doesn't matter, because if it's bigger, it's still, whoever uses it at other times during, there's not a competition.
Might matter to people though.
Huh?
It might matter to people where it's located.
It's gonna matter if.
If it's at the high school or at an elementary school. And I thought we had some shortage of gym space with high school students as it was for PE.
We do.
We do,
I
okay.
mean, it's used all the time. And
Right.
we did a breakdown of between the community and the school, it's used almost 7 days a week. However, there's also limits in terms of time, because school has first dibs on it, and that's that 3:30 to 7 category. Or if you've got a competition going on in there, like a basketball game or wrestling match or something, no one else can use that site. If you're done with practices at 6:30, 7 o'clock, then the community can come in and use it after that. And that's what, basically, the way it's scheduled right now, is that way.
In our informational questionnaire, somehow we gotta distinguish whether we're talking about it being at the high school as a second gym or it being elsewhere. Because, I'll be honest with you, anytime I've talked to anybody, they're talking about the amount of stress on a single gym at our high school.
Well, the other thing that you need to understand, hey, if you take option HA, you are essentially getting rid of 2 gyms and replacing it with 1.
Yep.
Okay? So, when you're talking about all of these things that are interplaying with one another, they all intertwine, because if you do one, then you don't do this. If you do this, then you don't do that. I don't even know how to sort all of that out, other than, give you, options from the standpoint of you either build a gym onto the high school or you build it onto one of the other buildings. And if you build it onto one of the other buildings, then there's only 2 options that we're really under consideration right now, which is HA and HB. Okay?
I think on this,
What the word is, in terms of competition, is basically you either build a second gym onto the high school, which we could word it that way, or you build a larger gym onto one of the new buildings in order to serve competition. Okay?
That's the part I want. And you're the lucky guy that gets to put that in.
well, he does have that
He
here.
does have them.
The first one, though, I think if we take that Prenz out, in addition to either the option HA or option HB tax increase and Prenz, I think that's what's throwing me off. So if it's confusing me, because it specifically says add an additional gym to the existing high school. And then the second part would be competition size gym to either option HA or option HB.
Okay.
So I think if we take that out of that first one, that makes it very clear it's to the high school instead of, I think it's a comparison with the 2 options that'd be the same cost, is
Okay.
my take.
So just take out the parens.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you support a referendum to add an additional gym to the existing high school at a cost not to exceed $7.4 million, with an additional estimated tax impact of $20 on a home valued at $100,000 or $60 on a home valued at $300,000? That make it clear?
Better.
Okay.
So if we build a new school, that would obviously have a gym in it, but it would not be a competition size.
It doesn't, a normal sized gym for physical education purposes would be, like the middle school gym would be the typical size that you're going to build. Can you play basketball in there and can you have competition in there? Yes, but it's not the same as if you look at the competition sized gym that's already at the high school. That give you a comparison? Okay.
It's fine.
We just need to get it so that people can understand what we're trying to communicate, because I'm sorry, but I read through this like 5 times and it's kind of like, what am I missing?
In the second one, if I just said, add a competition and then put in parens larger,
Yeah, parentheses larger would help. And then I think, again, take out the parentheses in addition to the
yep.
tax,
Read that.
get rid of that. That's what, every time I've read this too, I'm like, why, okay, this makes no sense, so. Just because most people don't even know what option HA or HB are, so.
So it would read now, would you support a referendum to add a competition, parens larger sized gym to either option HA or HB at a cost not to exceed $7.4 million, with an additional estimated tax increase to 20 or whatever? That makes sense?
For me, what you're missing is to differentiate that gym is either at the high school or at the potential new building.
No, it says,
No.
Says
to
it right
either
there.
option HA or HB.
And the first part of that question, it does say at the to the
That's
existing high
option
school.
C. You don't even
The first one says existing high school, the second one is option HA or HB. You're putting them in two different places.
Okay, is there some way you can outline that to help them understand? Because
It's
like I said,
outlined, it says it right there, I mean, it's clear.
What this is giving people a choice to do is saying, if it's an overwhelming, definitely yes, we want it at the high school, as opposed to, if there's a new school, we don't want a new competition gym at the new school, we want it at the high school. That's how I see it. So people are saying, yeah, I don't care if it's at the new school or at the high school, I think I'd vote for yes for either one, we just want a gym.
There is, the other question is, no, I would not support a gym at either side. I would not support a new gym or a larger size gym at either site, but I think that now you're making it just more complicated than it has to be, because you're really trying to figure out whether they will even support a gym, period.
No, we need a gym.
I think that would come under the heading of definitely no. We'll figure that one out.
Okay.
Okay, going back. So, in question number 2, or section number 2, I'm gonna pull out something that indicates at least an understanding of that traffic will have to be looked at, but in conjunction with
The town.
town and the city, okay? And then in section number 3, something relative that just clarifies the issue about the site that Bill brought up on both the elementary and the primary, which is basically age of the buildings and putting money into them, right? Especially the primary one. And I'll pull that out of the article and just consider it. Number 4, no change, and then the changes that we just talked about in number 5. Anything else that you see that you want modified or changed?
Okay, I'm going to admit, last night was the first time I read this. I did not respond to any of the correspondence because I was busy last week preparing for my son's wedding. So as a community member, looking at this for the first time, I thought it gave me a lot of information. I had no problem until I got to 3, when we had given, kind of itemized out what the cost is for all the different things we're doing. And then you had the synopsis with their answers. My question is, was it in this or your community link where the board is kind of, or I don't know, someone has decided it's really probably not a good idea to get rid of the district office and the maintenance part, because it is going to be very costly to relocate, add, build. I would like to, I know you say reduce 2, but I would like to see the tax impact on that reduction, because what you have down below there includes those, correct? Yeah, build or lease a new maintenance shop.
You know, based on the information you had said before, we can save money by keeping the district office as is, as district office and maintenance. When we're looking at the buildings and we're trying to figure out between the 11 configurations down to 2 and 3.
We're down to 2.
Right, we're down to 2, but as Chuck had mentioned before, if we keep the district office and the maintenance here, that would shave off some money, Chuck, am I correct about that?
Right, he stated that, but I want to see the tax impact for people to see the difference.
And the reason that I didn't do that,
I know it's another
Okay.
option.
well, no, it's because of, if you take a look at the total estimated cost of HA is $31,860,000. The difference, if you go to keeping the current district office and making the repairs, et cetera, is $1 million. And the total tax impact here, if you do an estimate, we might be talking $2, so it'd be 135 versus 137.
Oh, okay.
So it's minimal, and it's really not, it's not changing the tax impact that much because of the fact that it's only going down $1 million. The difference being is that we're just keeping this building here and we're fixing it rather than spending $1.7 million, somewhere else. But you still have to make the repairs on it. So you're either gonna build a new building and pay $1.7 million to get it, or you're gonna put about $600,000 into this building to fix it up and to keep it. So the difference is about $1 million one way or the other, maybe
Okay.
$2 or $3 at the most, anybody's gonna realize out of that equation.
Okay,
But what the difference is that we would not be putting the district office in educational space at the high school, and we wouldn't be building another new building just to take care of maintenance, which we already have in this building to begin with.
A lot of good information was put out in the article you did on, in the community link. Now, I hate to make this any longer, because then people may or may not read it. But is there a way to meld that information in, as it gives people a lot of background?
it would be a lot.
Yeah, I think it's too much, and people I don't think people care about the
You can-
background
you
as
can-
much.
The background has been out there since we started this thing, and this is just the questions.
Yeah, but a lot of
that
people
we
haven't
need to
read it,
answer. Well,
and not
they're
this
not gonna
detailed.
read it if you put it in here either.
Well, I hope
But
so.
you could have a link that says, look, here, if you're interested in
The
this.
background, here's a link to go to.
Well, it is, because
Flag-
if you
flag it
look
all up.
right on the, oh, I have to look, see where I got it. It's in section number 2, okay? Where it says the board's looked at a variety of options, and it says all of the options that the board has looked at, their estimated cost, their estimated tax impact can be accessed at the school district website at www.lodi.wk. It's all there, everything, but, you know, there's so much information there and so much background. I mean, someone has to go there and read through that information in order to get all the background that you're talking about. All we can do, or I think all you can do, is give the key points that they need to determine as to the best of their ability, like whether they favor one option over the other one. What you're really trying to do is narrow down, do they support option HA or HB? Do they support a gym or don't they? Would they support buying a new site or wouldn't they buy a new site? And that's helping you get to the point of how you're gonna phrase, quote, a referendum question that you're gonna put on the ballot in November. Because right now, I don't think if I were to ask, based on our last discussion, how many want to go with HA and how many want to go with HB, that I get a full complement of 7 people favoring one or the other. So that was part of the reason saying, all right, let's get a better sense of where the community is, what their feelings are. That helps you then put something out there that you at least believe that the community is more supportive of than the other. Does that make sense or not? Okay.
Yep.
At least that's what I thought was the purpose of what we're trying to do.
That's a good idea, that's a good way to go. Perfect.
And, you know, I'll word it any way you want to, because again, it's not my survey. I'm just trying to do what I think you want to do, is just gather more information so you can make the best decision possible about what referendum you're gonna put out to the public in November.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw this out there. At one of the many other surveys and referendums we have done and passed, when we were building, I think it was for the high school, I'm pretty sure. So it would have been in 97-ish, since the high school started in 99. There were 4 parts of the referendum.
Yep.
And the 4th part was the pool.
Yep.
But unless the other 3 parts passed, we didn't get the pool. So, my thought is, do we put the gym as in the place of the 4th part as opposed to putting it in?
I think that's what you have to figure out when you
You're gonna
determine
take
what
the
it is that
survey
you wanna do. That's,
Right.
that's the resolution that you're gonna have to.
Okay,
And the question is it all one, I mean, when Mike Clark was here from R.W. Baird, he said, you can do your resolutions any way you want to,
okay,
okay?
yeah,
You can put them all into one question, so that it's phrased that way, so it's just one yes or one no, and the components that were within there, for X amount of money, they either approve it or they don't. Or you can break it out, you can say, purchase the land, build a building, and the gymnasium. You could have 3 different questions, and they have to vote individually on each one. The gym itself is not contingent upon building a new building, because you're gonna have a gym in the building. The question is, how big is that gym going to be, and what's the structure of it going to be? Okay?
okay.
As far as the site, you have to, you know, you don't have to, because we got the survey back on the middle school site, but when we're talking traffic patterns, we're creating a new traffic pattern and a new problem if we put it on the PE land that's directly behind the middle school. That was the whole purpose in, would you support purchasing a new site? The two sites, I mean, everybody pretty much knows that it's either the Ballwig site on the north side of Sauk Street, or it's the Grothman property on the south side of Sauk Street. Those are the only two that we've really been talking about up to this point in time. So it's one or the other, and the question is, will they support it or won't they support purchasing a new site?
It's pretty clear to me.
Okay, since I'll allow the question. You're short, did you have a question?
I did.
Yeah.
Is there any way to involve the Plan G or the option G in your survey? Because you guys are talking about the wrestling room and other things being done, and on Plan G, that renovates the wrestling room, it has a gym, it's not taking the very expensive referendum and then adding a gym on top of it, it's more of a compromise. And that is up on the school website. So I'm just wondering, is there any way that you could get community input as to favorability of Plan G?
So you're saying just the weight room and the expansion of the...
No, I'm saying if you've got the board up there that has G, maybe put
This
that
is
up
C.
and take a look at it so you
I
can
can
see
get
what
G.
I'm referring to.
Go get it, so we know what we're talking
Yeah, I'm sure.
about.
No, he's got it in his office.
He's gonna go.
I thought this read well. I mean, if someone takes the time to sit down and read it, for me not to stumble, 1, 2, 3, till the fourth page, to just think a second, you know, I'd had a lot of information read by them.
This is the option G, which it's the same configuration in terms of the gym and the locker room, except that now you take what is currently the weight room and the wrestling room, and you convert it all into one large wrestling room. Both rooms become wrestling room, and a new weight room is added on the front end up here.
What's the backside of that wrestling room? What's that?
That's pool.
Oh, pool.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
yeah.
pool doesn't, the
Yeah.
pool doesn't change, except that the entrance to it would have to be modified. But all you're doing is, the difference between this one that we just looked at and this one is this area right here and that area right there. That's the extra $1.6 million, essentially.
Well, what is the cost of that Plan G?
The cost of Plan G.
That was less than 34 million, I know that.
It's
30 million?
Yep,
You
right
said?
there.
30 million.
30 million.
So it's not 34 plus asking the community if they support another 7 for a gym.
Well, that's because, again, that plan right there encompasses different things than what we're talking about with either HA or
I know.
HB. So you have to take each
I know,
plan
I'm
unto
just
itself.
speaking of it more as a compromise.
But what you're asking to do is to take this and supersede it over one of the other two options. In order to do that, you have to take the cost of this particular part and add it to the cost of those other two. You can't just say, well, it's $30 million for this plan, because that's not the plan. It's this part of this plan with either HA or HB. So you have to add it to, not just take the cost. Option HA is $31 million. If you keep the district office, it's $30 million. If you do HB, it's, what is it, $21 million, okay? All right, take either one of those two, and now add the gym. That's $7 more million that you have to add to one or the other, whichever way you want to look at it. You can't just say it's part of, because it's added to one of those two other plans. That makes sense to everybody?
Well,
That's-
on the
I see
school
a lot of people
website, it
shaking
has
their head.
option G, I've got it right here, and I'm going down to
But
the bottom
we're
line,
not-
and it says 30,500,000.
Scott, We're not doing option G. Option G is this
That's
in
what
its
I'm asking.
entirety, right here, okay?
That's my question. Can that be part of the survey?
No, because that's the option. You're either gonna do option G, HA, HB, they're options.
Right, you're gonna do G.
But if you're gonna do
HA,
HA or HB, then you have to add the cost of the gym to one of those two.
I'd say not HA, not HB, option G.
Okay, that's a whole different question.
I'm sorry, I didn't make it clear, that's what I was
All right,
asking.
okay.
All right, thank you.
If that's something that
Yeah,
the board would take
I
on.
understand what you're
consideration.
saying.
I didn't make it clear, I'm sorry.
Well, we got the motion in the second, but we're working
Yeah,
on
we're
the
s-
discussion part,
yeah, we're
and the
discussing.
discussion part is what it's all about.
So, those questions with the additional gym or the size of the gym, just the gym is 7.4. So if we would say to add a weight room, that would be an additional 1 point, I'm not good,
It's
7?
about 1.3 or 1.4 million dollars, right, Steve, based on our
It's
calculations?
about 1.4, correct?
Yeah, 1.4 million dollars. They had the weight room and to remodel the rest of them.
Okay.
So I really need to say this. If we're doing it, let's do it right, is my thought. If we're putting out 30 million or 27 million or 34 million, another million either way is not gonna convince the voters. They're not gonna say, I'm only gonna vote for this. I don't think, that's my guess. So if we are going to redo and, it just makes sense to me to spend the 1.4 on the wrestling room as well.
Do you wanna package that along with the competition gym and locker rooms for the high school?
That would make the most sense. Then we've got the whole athletic complex involved. Well, not everything, but the inside.
That's what I'm hearing you say.
Right,
So then we're up to 8.8
for the gym.
for the gym
And the locker.
and wrestling room and locker rooms and relocating the athletic field
Yeah.
or the practice field.
Right.
I just, when we put the one gym in 99, it was just a conundrum. I was just baffled that we would put one gym in. And I was not on any of the committees, so I didn't help, I didn't go in and be a voice. It just never occurred to me we would only put one gym in the new school. I know a second one, an upper level one was considered, at one point in one of the plans. But I don't wanna put in this whole new building and then have the wrestling room not upgraded somehow. It doesn't make sense. If we're gonna do a building, let's do it right.
There were many options to that high school.
Mhm.
One had the option of a tennis court, one had the option of a football stadium, one had the option of a pool.
So,
And the
where they had the-
pusher, the motivation on the pool was, we had $110,000 or $20,000 donated if we built the pool.
Right, true.
So we had many options, and I can remember how surprised the board was when all of the options passed. But on the other hand, as a board, you have to sit there and try to decide, how much is too much?
Right.
At some point, there's gotta be an end.
I agree with that too.
And, you know, not that I'm going to defend or anything, is that you had 7 people sitting there in 1996 trying to make some of these same decisions, and it came down to dollars and cents and what the community would or wouldn't support. And we went through the same process. I will say that every teacher at the high school had input into what their facility and their area looked like. What people envision when they're sitting there talking about things and putting things together is kind of like when you're looking at a house plan, what you think it looks like and then what you realize that it's going to be on the backside are 2 different things. I can tell you that the stadium, the press box on the stadium isn't what it was designed to be, but it was because of decisions that were made along the way. Okay? I can tell you that $700 and some thousand went into infrastructure, which we were told was an estimate of $70,000. So as you're going along, certain things took place that changed the scope and the sequence of what you started out to do.
Okay,
But the fact that there was one gym there was part and privy to a whole coaching staff and a physical education staff that sat down and helped design what it looked like. I'm not going to say that people aren't criticizing it at this point in time, but that's the decision that was made based around same thing. Property, taxes, people, back to what Bill said, how much will people support? I think that's what you're trying to find out, is what can we build, but then on the backside of this, what if they won't support it? Then what are you going to do, okay? Because you're gonna have to come back and compromise on the backside of this. And if I've heard one thing from the beginning of this, on both sides of the equation, is how much is this gonna cost me? Okay?
Well, that's what it's gonna come down to, is how much will my taxes be raised? So if we can add,
And
if we
that's the
can,
wrong question.
I
It's the
understand,
wrong
Bill,
question.
I understand, Bill,
What does our wrestling team need to remain competitive?
I understand, Bill.
That's the real question.
I am so with you.
Okay.
It's not my opinion. What I'm saying is that people.
Well, we can
the-
educate the community to the correct question,
Correct, but
okay?
what people will say is, how much does it cost me?
Right.
Unfortunately.
How much is that child worth?
Correct.
Okay.
So if we can add a wrestling room renovation and it doesn't cost me anything, I'm for it. I'm just being blatantly honest is what I think people will say. Well, I'm not, well, so I can get a $34 million school or a $21 million school, how does it affect me in taxes? Well, the $34 million, I have to pay this much more than the 21. And I know, Bill, I'm with you on education.
I think you run with different people than me, because the people that I listen to aren't asking how much is it gonna cost. They're asking, is it gonna do what you want it to, what we need to happen?
It's both.
Yeah, I just,
That's all.
am I
I
right?
know they're
Yes.
both.
It's both.
Am I right?
It's-
Why?
It's both.
It's both.
Okay.
Because if you just say, here's a plan, and it costs 30 million, if I don't like the plan, I don't care how much it
That's
costs.
right.
Great, yeah.
Now, I think that some people probably don't care. Some people are gonna say, what's it gonna cost me? But a lot of people are wondering, that's why people are talking about a gymnasium, right? If that isn't in the plan, some people are gonna say, I'm not
gonna
voting
do
for it. So it really is, to your point, it's what does the district need?
Mhm.
How does it address those needs? And then secondly, what would it cost us to do those things? Some are gonna look at HA and HB and say, I'm not voting for either one of them, because it's the wrong plan. It's not that they're not willing to invest in the district, not willing to pay additional taxes. They look at those two plans and say, I don't support them. So it's really two questions. You have to get at the survey, what are the plans and what do they address? And then how much are they gonna cost? I think it's two questions,
Yeah.
or two things you're trying to find out.
Right.
So we both are in the same direction, just, and I don't know, I'm sure I don't run with the same people that you do, because you run marathons. And I can barely walk on a flat surface, but I just, but I really, you know, when I talk to people, they're like, well, how much does it cost? I'm like, well, different plans have this, and it's go to the district website and look up the information, and we've done a lot of research, so I don't give them a direct answer, because first of all, I don't have a direct answer. I don't think it's my purpose to have a direct answer, but it's my purpose to say, look up the information. And I just think there's many people that maybe don't have computers, or their kids are not in the district anymore. And those are the people we do not have to convince the people who come to the meetings. They're here because they care. We don't have to convince the parents that have had, you know, that have been here, and our Lodi people, or the surrounding area people, that really truly believe in the education system of Lodi. Those are not the people we have to convince. We have to convince the people that don't want to vote for anything anyway. And why, I mean, I just think that's the, when you guys held all those meetings and you didn't have as many people attend them, that was the right way to do it, though. You were out there saying, here's our information, what questions do you have, this is what we can give you. So, and I don't want to belabor the whole situation, but I just know that some people that I've talked to is like, how much will it cost me?
Well, and this does have a lot of costs in it, the survey is.
Yes, so I think the
So
survey
we're definitely
will,
gonna get a feel what people
Yeah.
are willing to, spend.
my rant is over.
Any other discussion? We have a motion on the floor.
Right, I'm just gonna add, I mean, my final thing about competition, period, not just athletic competition, but math competition, I mean, competing with these surrounding districts, competing for faculty, for all the things that we, as a small district, have to compete with them, that it's not just because we're gonna be in trouble if we can't compete, but those kids that we're bringing through, they're gonna go out there and they're not gonna know how to compete because they've come from an uneven playing field and they're gonna go out there and get hammered unless the programs which we have now provide that opportunity. I don't just mean wrestling or football, but I mean all the things that we do. Kids here, by the time they graduate, know what it means to, step up to the plate and get the job done. And if we don't have the facility and the staff to do that, then it ain't gonna work.
Well,
That's all.
we have to do something relative to this, because I've got a community link ready to go out, mailed out to every community house. And I've got a survey ready to make active on the link, so you can get this information back in a reasonable amount of time. You cannot go to referendum in November without having a resolution comprised and put together by the end of August.
Right.
If you don't get it done by pretty much August 25th or somewhere in that range, no later than the 30th, you are not going to be on the November referendum. And so, if this survey isn't what you want, then I need to pull it out of that community link because it's not going anywhere. And I need to revamp that article that's on the front that says we're going to do a survey. If we're going to do a survey, the question is, do we have the questions that you want answered or don't we? Because now, all of a sudden, we're dealing with option G, which we went through like a 3-month process with 93 different people. And this one kind of got pushed to the side, and you ended up with HA and HB as your two options. And now, it's been brought forward anyway, we should be doing option G, because I won't vote for each HA or HB. But we had people sitting in the room saying, I won't go for option G either. So I'm at a quandary in terms of what you want me to do with this piece of information between now and tomorrow morning, when I have to do one thing or the other, both relative to the community link, which is either going to be a preschool, communication without a survey, or I'm going to have a survey in there and it's going to be active with these edits come tomorrow morning. So I'm trying to figure out what you want me to do, okay?
I think we need to do it.
No pressure, sir. No pressure.
Yeah, I'll do whatever you want, because again, it's you're trying to get the information, okay? I just work to try to give you something to edit and put together, and this is like the, 8th or 9th version of it, so another version isn't gonna hurt me.
I think you could help yourself, we could help ourselves by, at the end, instead of just saying, thank you for taking this, but here's your comment, or what did we miss? What's not here that you need?
An open box for them to write,
Right.
oh, that's excellent. We usually have those, don't we?
Well,
Isn't there
we do
usually,
that.
isn't there, well, a lot of surveys I've taken have the box underneath that you can write in whatever you want.
I don't disagree that you can do that, but you're gonna have, I've
It's
got a
okay,
survey the
we
last
have to
time.
make the
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
They're not making the decision. These are
I-
just asking for their opinions. And if some people are saying the H's are out, well, okay, you don't want H, what do you want? So we know.
I don't think you're gonna know, but I will more
That's
than happy to
okay,
put a
I
comment
know.
in there, because, Bill, if you're gonna
Is there life
open it up
after
and say
death?
open
I don't know that
comments,
one either, so.
what you're trying to do is narrow down what you think are going to be options. I don't care what they are, but if you open it up to comments,
Right.
you'll get the same things that we went through for 3 months, is that in those committee meetings, I can pull them out and I can show you the dots all over every single one of those. That's what you're gonna get, is different people will have
It's
different
okay,
views.
people had a chance, they said
Okay.
what they had to say.
I'm just giving you a
Because
perspective.
what I'm reading in the paper and what people say to me is, you've already made the decision and nobody has any input anymore. And it's like, that's so erroneous, that's so false, but that's what's floating around out there, is nobody has a chance to put their input in. It's like, we've been begging people, to come. But no, they're gonna take pot shots at us in the newspaper, but they're not gonna show up and have a conversation with us at, you know, at an open public meeting, and it's frustrating. So I'm just saying, go ahead.
Put a comment section?
Yeah, put a comment section, and if there's like 50,000 different options, it doesn't matter, we still, this 7 people are the ones that have to decide. And if they don't like it, they can vote us out next time.
Watch what you say.
Okay.
Come up here and do this job yourself, that's what I feel like.
Bill Whip, you wanna-
skin, Bill.
No, I feel like when I'm getting ready to make something important decision like this, I'm gonna get anxious, and I'm gonna feel that pre-wrestling feeling that I get, and I, you know,
Take your glasses
bring it
off.
on.
Just be calm, just be calm.
I do
Bill, you
understand,
have a
we are,
comment.
we're trying to narrow down our choices, because it's gonna make it way easier when we have to do the resolution.
Yes, and that's what your asking for input does not do.
Doesn't do what?
It doesn't help us narrow down our choices. Honestly,
That we spent months since February.
honestly, we have to be past that. Think about it. Are we in August yet? Oh, we're pretty close. So let's say we got 30 whole days to get this squared away and presented. I wouldn't.
Or hold it, what instead of a comment thing, what if after definitely no, if definitely no, tell us why.
Okay, I'll bite on that one.
If you're saying no to all this stuff, tell us why.
In each section?
Well, what the
Because
heck?
definitely no is in each section.
Well, I don't know, I was just thinking of the ones where they're gonna spend money.
We'll spend money in every part.
Well, we spend money everywhere here.
That's what we're good at, Bill.
I have a question to ask, you guys. Okay, so the additional gym, if we're putting in the, new weight room and wrestling room, are we gonna do it as one thing,
Package it
package?
I think
all
package.
together.
So
as
what
one package.
happens if it says probably no or definitely no? So we've just thrown out the new big gym.
No, we haven't thrown it out.
No, I'm saying, now
They just
listen,
said what their opinion is.
but I guess I would like to know if people are in favor of the gym versus adding a weight room and a wrestling room, because if it's overwhelmingly no, we get back, I would have a hard time putting that out to the voters on referendum.
Let's get a
Yeah,
feel
but we
for what they
listen to
want
the,
first.
we
and
listen
go
to
from
the
there.
people that use it. We know what the problem is.
Oh, I know there's a problem.
The community doesn't know the problem.
Well, people that come and use the facility or come to sporting events, or,
Right.
most people gotta know
I
a kid
feel
that
like
comes to
those are the
school
people
here.
we're gonna, this thing's going over the top anyway.
Can you situate your definitely no to ask for rebuttal? Definitely no. Okay, why?
Is there,
Got it down.
okay,
Right.
yeah,
Is that a simple enough, so let's move on.
It's kind of like,
Let's go.
yeah.
You got a question?
And don't have the comment box if you need. Okay?
Yeah, Sue, you got a comment?
I just was wondering, so if I'm hearing Chuck right, it's gonna go out in the community links tomorrow?
Not
No.
if we don't get it squared away.
Right, okay, but that's your goal, you're working on
It's not
that.
going anywhere if it don't get
So,
squared away tonight.
in my mind, I'm just thinking, you have kind of a really good opportunity to actually get surveys back, because you have registration next week.
Yep.
So to me, to have someone, when you're coming in the door and they're saying to you, put this form here, hey, did you have a chance to see the survey? You know, use that, because you're gonna get almost every parent that's in this district here,
Mm-hmm.
in the same building next week.
We can maybe put that in the front page.
I mean, I just
That
feel like,
Chuck's
you know,
writing.
part of putting
Yeah.
out a survey is actually hoping you get it back.
Yes, that's a good point.
And so how do you get it back? You're trying to encourage people to do it, if not while they're there, take a look at it, remind them that it's coming, tell them it's coming if it hasn't come yet.
Well, and we can have extra surveys there as well.
But I would really hope people would take the time to read it and not fill it in at registration, because that's crazy and noisy.
But
Well,
they
then
could also
somebody may bring it
take
along
it.
and drop it off then.
Yeah, no.
I think having a place that they can drop it off is
Mhm.
fine. I don't want to add another thing to registration. I believe that the focus of registration is get kids registered, get the pictures, that kind of stuff. But I don't have a problem with them dropping it off. I just don't feel that this is the proper place to be putting this, or that's the proper place to be.
My thought behind it is just that you have a rare situation where you really truly will have almost every parent in the district there.
I don't mind, making them aware that the
it's
survey's coming
coming
or that
or
kind of
there.
stuff, but
Right.
I don't know if I want them to be.
Have
having
to fill out one
think-
more
Yeah,
form.
fill out another form and think about a referendum while they're doing registration for the kids.
But
Yeah, no,
but
it's
a
more
good
just to be able
opportunity
to
ask.
educate and get it out there.
It's a good opportunity to, I'm a fundraiser. I mean, that's what I make my living, going and asking people for money. And they don't give money until you ask them. And I
True.
feel like if we don't ask them to do it, they won't.
Yeah, parents are paying money that day. I don't know if that's a good time to ask them.
No,
paying a lot of
I'm
money
just
that
saying, if you don't ask, people
Pay a
will
lot
do
of
what
money.
you ask them to do more likely than if they have to figure out what is it that you want them to do.
Okay,
Okay.
So we're gonna have a drop box type of, or a place for them to bring their surveys back to.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
figure it out.
Okay. I think that's excellent, Sue, thank you.
we ready to vote?
Yes.
Can we read the whole thing? It was so long ago, I'm
This
sorry.
is the survey.
It's a
I
survey.
just gotta make sure that we're still dealing with the same questions, or if there's going to be more questions added or revisions. So right now, I don't have anything changing on the front. We're starting with number 1, and the only thing I'm adding there is after definitely know why. Same thing with second question, definitely know why. In section number 2, that looks at the different options, HA and HB, and we're looking at purchasing a piece of land, if definitely know why, on both questions. Okay? In number 3, under the first bullet, I'm gonna add something about the rationale about why we're replacing the primary OSC building. And then under section, or the second bullet, same thing, rationale about why we would be replacing the elementary school. Correct?
Yep.
All right. And then, Sue, well, I explained the last bullet about why I didn't put the tax impact there, because it's only $1 million. Do you still think that I need to say something, or do I just leave it as is?
I don't know, maybe people are probably smarter than I am. I don't know.
I think for the survey purpose, it's okay to leave this as. Anybody else?
Yes, I think you're right.
And then, under the first survey question about supporting option HA, under definitely know why. Same thing as if you maintain the district office and maintenance shop, and if they said definitely know why.
If definitely know why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not just why, okay. Okay.
Well, I got definitely no, and then I just got a dash with why, question mark, and then a box that they can write in.
If definitely know why.
So you want the word if before
Yeah,
definitely.
because it's not just definitely yes, why,
So
not,
you want me to change
not
definitely
probably
no
yes,
to
why.
if
It's
definitely
just
no.
when they, if they're saying no, I'm getting at him saying, it's not the one that I want. I want a place for them to be able to say
That's
why
what I'm
they're
asking. Do you
not.
want me to just leave it definitely no with a why, or do you want me to put if definitely know why?
Yeah, that's it, that's what I want.
Put it to all of them then, just, so it's all the same, obviously.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
But only on the no's.
Yep.
If definitely no.
Why?
Ask them the question.
Or if no, yeah, I don't care. If definitely no. So,
We're doing good.
Would someone call my wife and tell her I'll be home on Saturday, please?
She knows. It's already in the plan.
Okay, so I've changed all of them now to if definitely no, but going back to where I was.
right.
So question number 3, that's the only thing I'm actually changing is if definitely know why. On number 4, same thing, the only thing I'm changing is if definitely know why. On number 5, I've edited out in addition to either option HA, the parens, and then put if definitely know why. Same thing with the second one, option HA, larger size gym, and took out the parens, and then if definitely know why. Is there anything else that you want me to modify, change, or add to what we've got.
I have 4 more bullet points, I'm kidding.
Are we gonna add the, rest of the room and the new weight room for 8.8?
Okay, yeah, that's what I was
I'm
gonna
gonna
ask.
ask
In number 5, you want me to change it so that it says additional gym, expand the wrestling room and weight room at a cost of $9 million now, not 7.4 or
Right.
1.2, so it'd be $8.6 million. Am I right?
I have 8.8, 8.6, Steve?
Is it, it's
Is it
7.4
8.6 or 8.8?
1.4 or 1.2?
It was 9 million even for all of that, so,
So you're not helping.
I'm sorry.
That's what I thought it was, but,
Okay.
so, I'll just, it's 9 million, not to exceed 9 million. Okay? If it's less than that, I guess.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Call the vote.
We're gonna do a roll call, starting with Westfall.
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes. So the motion carries 5-0.
You guys should get that G plan off the website then. If you guys are done with it, it's still out there. You know, you go to this school website, you look up the plans.
They're all out there,
It's right
every single
there.
one, because people want to see what all the different plans
Not
are.
all 11 are though.
They should be.
There's 4 of them out there. G,
G,
I,
HA, HB, and
HA,
I are all in
HB.
the same spreadsheet, which is why they're there. We can probably modify the spreadsheet and put it up, but at one point in time, all 11 options were up there along with their costs. I can't say if they've been taken down, I'll have to ask Maureen, she might have replaced it with this one. I'm not
If people are gonna be looking, it might be confusing to see that up there. You're not gonna
That could be the
involve
why
in
though,
the survey.
that you say that.
Okay. All right, so
good.
I don't know.
we're ready to go into closed?
Am I what?
All right, so now I just have to clarify this, then, on the number 5, the first question where you're adding the additional gym, expanding the wrestling room and weight room at a cost not to exceed $9 million, is gonna change that tax impact. But then the second one, where it's you're adding the gym to either HA or HB, that's just still at $7.4 million, so that doesn't change, correct?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Are you putting a new weight room?
Yes. Expand the wrestling room and add new weight room.
Okay.
Now, I think I got it.
Okay.
There's a question right there.
On the wrestling, they're gonna wrestle no matter what, we got a room already, you're just moving that wrestling into 2 rooms.
You're taking the current
The
wrestling room.
existing weight
And
room,
you're taking the weight room and you're
that goes
making it all
wrestling,
into
so
one.
there's no cost or,
Besides taking a wall.
You're adding a weight room to the gym.
right.
That's the key, is that you're
Right.
not, the
So
wrestling
really
room, is
not
you're just blowing that
wrestling.
wall out.
The biggest thing
But
that you're adding
You have to
is
pull the
weight.
wall out, you
Yeah.
have to put in support beams.
That's your cost, is
There's
the
your
weight.
cost, yes.
Right.
Wrestling's existing building is there.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's
You're
gonna
not
be
gonna
twice the
move that
size.
supporting wall, so you're gonna be in both rooms, which is fine,
Yeah, you're taking out that wall in between,
but you can't, that's.
and you have to put up mats now all the way around, both rooms. So that's where the cost comes in.
So it's the weight training room is the cost of the addition.
It's updating that piece.
It's the biggest cost.
Right.
It's not the fun part.
Okay.
Just a
Are there-
Before we go to closed, I think we really need to thank Chuck for all of the survey. He really did a great job on getting us started and then dealing with all the extra things that come up along the way. So I just think it's, we'd like to thank you.
Took a lot of time.
Extra big bucks.
So does that mean-
Motion to move into closed session.
You want to read it?
You gotta read it.
Motion to, I'll do it then, here.
Thank you.
Wait a minute,
Wait a minute. Motion to adjourn to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 19.85, paren 1, paren C, paren E, and paren F to consider staff employment resignations, staff contracts, and deliberate the purchase of public properties.
I second.
Westfall, Pear, roll call, Carl?
Yes.
Yes.
Bill?
Bill.
Yes, yes.
Yes, motion carries 5 to
Say
0.
yes.
We're gonna close, but we're gonna take a 5-minute break. But I wanna thank everybody for coming this evening and listening and being involved. That's what we need more people to do
Hey,
and
Bill?
really be educated.
Bill, can I ask you, if you're a fundraiser, you raise $30 million for the district, some other people?